The knock at dusk. The lantern hissed low, flame bending with each draft that slipped through the cracks of the cabin walls. Clara pressed her palm against the rough wood of the table, steadying herself after a long day. The wind outside had gone still. Only the faint howl of a coyote drifted over the ridge. Eli's voice broke the silence. "Tell me again, Mama. About Papa." Clara swallowed, eyes fixed on the shadows stretching across the floor. The boy's face glowed in the lantern light, wide-eyed, waiting. She drew a breath, but before a word left her mouth. Knock. Sharp. Measured. A man's hand against her door. The sound froze the air inside the cabin. Clara's other hand lifted, fingers brushing the stock of the rifle above the hearth. Eli turned his head toward the door, lips parted, waiting for her to move. Another knock. Slow. Certain. Clara's voice came out hushed tight. "Stay back, Eli." The floorboards creaked under her boots as she stepped closer. Her pulse hammered in her ears. She reached for the latch, hesitated, then slid it free. The door groaned open. A man stood there. Tall, shoulders wrapped in a dust-stained coat, hat brim shadowing his eyes. The dying sun flared behind him, painting his figure in blood-red light. He didn't speak. Eli gasped. His small feet slapped the floor as he rushed forward, clutching Clara's skirt with one hand, pointing with the other. "Papa!" The words struck the cabin like thunder. Clara's breath caught. Her grip on the rifle trembled. She stared at the stranger, searching for denial, for recognition, for anything. The man's face remained hidden, but the line of his jaw was carved hard by years of dust and hunger. He spoke at last, voice low and rough, like stone dragged over stone. "Water. Shelter for the night. No other claim." No answer to the boy's cry. Clara's throat tightened. "Why here?" The man's eyes flicked to hers beneath the brim. Something unspoken lingered there, heavy. He didn't move, didn't reach for a weapon, just stood with dust on his coat and silence around him. Eli tugged her arm, whispering again, "Papa, don't you know me?" Clara pressed him back gently, her heart pounding. Inside Eli, the boy clung tighter. The stranger's gaze shifted toward him, softened for only a breath, then hardened once more. Clara stepped aside, only slightly. "Water. Then you move on." The man ducked under the frame, boots striking the floor with quiet weight. The smell of road dust and sweat filled the small room. Clara handed him a tin cup with a stiff hand. He drank slow, each swallow loud in the hush. The fire popped. Outside, night settled deeper. Eli never looked away. His small voice cut through again, soft but steady. "It's really you. Mama, it's him." Clara's jaw clenched. "Eli, enough." The man lowered the cup. His hands bore scars, pale lines across sunburned skin. He set the tin down, eyes fixed on the flame instead of her. Clara crossed her arms. "Men don't come knocking at this door unless they bring trouble." "Which are you?" The man's answer came slow. A man trying to rest. Nothing more. The rifle still leaned within reach. Her fingers itched for it. But Eli had crawled close to the stranger's boots, peering up at him with a strange, desperate hope. The stranger shifted, as if uncertain under the boy's gaze. His shadow stretched long across the floor. The wind rose again outside, rattling the shutters. The sound carried the faint echo of riders, distant, fading, or maybe just the whisper of the canyon. Clara's heart lurched at it, though she saw no sign of alarm in the man's face. She broke the silence. "You'll sleep by the hearth. And, at first light, you ride." The man gave a slow nod. He drew off his hat at last, setting it on the table. His hair was streaked with dust, his face cut with lines of age and hard living. His eyes caught the lantern glow, dark, burdened, and watching everything. Eli leaned against him without fear, head resting against the coat. Clara's hands tightened into fists. "Eli," she said firmly, "to bed." The boy hesitated, then obeyed, slipping into the back room, still whispering, "Papa," until the word faded behind the door. The cabin fell quiet but for the crackle of fire. Clara faced the man square. "I don't know who you are, but you'll not fill his head with lies." The man lifted his gaze from the flames, steady and unreadable. No lies. His voice was even almost weary. Names don't matter much out here. Not anymore. Clara's nails dug into her palms. She hated the calm in his words, the certainty. She hated more the tremor in her chest, the echo of recognition she could not place. The lantern hissed. Outside, another coyote called. The night deepened, pressing close against the walls. The man stretched his scarred hands toward the fire, palms open to the warmth. Shadows danced up his face, painting him as both savior and devil. Clara stood rigid, unable to shake the sound of her son's whisper. "Papa!" Shadows of the past. The axe blade split the log clean, wood cracking sharp in the chill morning air. Chips flew, landing in the frost-dusted dirt. The stranger straightened, breath fogging, and swung again. Eli clapped from the porch, boots kicking the rail. "Mama, look! He's stronger in anybody." Clara's hands tightened on the washboard. She worked at the barrel. The sound of wet cloth slapping water kept her steady. She did not look up. The axe fell again. Wood broke again. The boy cheered again. At supper, the stranger sat silent, head bent, spoon moving slow. Eli leaned against him, chattering between mouthfuls. "He knows horses, Mama." He fixed the bridle. "And he shot a rattler dead, for it touched me." Clara's eyes cut sharp across the table. The man didn't meet them. His spoon scraped the tin bowl, steady, unshaken. When night fell, the fire burned low. Eli's laughter lingered as he curled in his blanket. Clara stepped outside, the door creaking, cold air rushing in. She leaned on the porch rail, watching the stars burn white above the ridge. Bootsteps followed. The man came out, hat low, coat collar pulled tight. "You'll not stay," she said without turning. He stood beside her, the silence between them thick as smoke. The wind carried distant echoes, metal against metal, faint voices fading. Clara's breath caught. "Riders!" The man's hand hovered near his belt, then fell back. "Not tonight." Her chest ached with unease. "You bring them here?" His answer was plain. They were coming anyway. The words burned. She turned on him, face hard in the starlight. "You speak like you know." His jaw tightened, but no more. He walked back inside, leaving her to the night. The next day, hooves sounded down the trail. Dust rose as old man Kearney rode close, gray beard tangled, eyes sharp. He pulled up his mule and spat. "You heard." Clara stepped off the porch. "Heard what?" "Jed Crane's gang. Burned a spread south of the canyon. Looking for somebody. Word says a man crossed him bad years back." Kearney's eyes flicked to the stranger splitting wood. Could be he. The axe froze mid-swing. The stranger's shoulders stiffened. Clara's pulse leapt. "What man?" Kearney shrugged. "No name passed. Just whispers. But if Crane's riding, best lock tight come sundown." He tugged his reins, mill trotting off down the trail. The stranger dropped the axe, blade sinking into dirt. Clara marched across the yard, fury rising hot. "It's you, isn't it? They're coming for you." He looked at her, calm, unflinching. "You'll not endanger my boy," she hissed. His reply came low, steady. "Danger's here whether I'm gone or not. Best face it with steel in hand." The words struck like a blow. She staggered back, breath quick. Her husband had said them once, long ago, when raiders came at dawn. Eli's voice broke in, bright, unknowing. "Mama." He made me a whistle. The boy ran up, clutching a hollow reed. Clara's chest tightened. She snatched Eli close, pulling him away. Inside, the boy pouted, eyes wide with confusion. But her grip held firm. That night, the stranger sat sharpening his knife, the rasp of stone echoing in the small room. Beside him, his revolver lay stripped open, oiled and gleaming. He moved with quiet skill, every piece falling back into place with care. Clara watched from the doorway, shadows across her face. The fire painted him in flashes, blade, steel, scars on his hands. Her voice cut through. "What name do they call you?" The man did not look up. Names don't matter much. Her heart beat loud. She tasted the edge of fear, the edge of something else. Outside, the wind carried smoke from somewhere far. The shutters rattled. The boy stirred in his sleep. The rasp of steel went on. The night pressed close, heavy with the promise of violence yet to come. The riders in the night. The floorboards shook before the sound reached. Hooves, dozens, rolling closer through the dark. Eli jerked awake, clutching the blanket. Clara pressed a finger to his lips, eyes wide, listening. The stranger was already on his feet, rifle in hand, shoulders squared against the door. Flames flared outside. Torches swung in the blackness, bobbing like fireflies in a storm. Shadows moved on horseback, circling, closing. Eli's whisper cracked. "Mama, they're here." The man's voice cut steady. "Stay low. Stay quiet." Boots crunched in the dirt outside. Laughter followed, harsh and sharp. Then a voice, deep, jagged as a broken rock. "Caleb Mercy, you thought you'd vanish? You thought wrong." The name dropped heavy in the cabin. Clara's heart slammed against her ribs. The man did not flinch. He pushed the door open, stepped into the night. Torchlight washed over him. Riders spread wide, guns glinting, eyes gleaming. At their head sat Jedediah Crane, scarred down his cheek, teeth bared in a wolf's grin. "Boys," Crane called, "there he is." The snake himself, the stranger, Caleb, lifted the rifle. His words carried cold. "You want me, Crane? Leave them." Crane laughed, cruel and booming. "Them? You mean the woman and the whelp? You think I ride this far for scraps? You'll watch everything burn, Mercy, like you left us to burn." A shout rang out. Gunfire cracked. Wood splintered off the cabin wall. Clara yanked Eli flat to the floor as glass shattered. Caleb fired once. A rider toppled, torch tumbling into dust. The circle of fire wavered. Horses screamed. Clara scrambled to the rifle above the hearth, hands shaking, breath tearing her chest. She shoved shells into the chamber with fumbling fingers. Another bullet punched through the window, spraying sparks. Eli screamed, ducking under the table. Outside, Caleb moved like a shadow among flames, each shot clean, each stride deliberate. A rider lunged close. Caleb spun, knife flashing, throat cut quick and silent. The body fell heavy in the dust. Crane's voice roared over the chaos. "Light it! Burn them out!" Torches soared. Fire caught the barn first, drywood bursting, smoke rising thick. The horses shrieked within. Sparks rained across the yard, glowing against the stranger's coat. Clara's finger tightened on the trigger. A rider charged, pistol raised. She fired through the window. The man toppled backward, his gun clattering from his hand. Her body shook, but she reloaded, breath ragged. Eli cried out from under the table, "Mama, don't let them in." Bullets slammed into the cabin walls, rattling pans, ripping holes through timber. The door shuddered under kicks. Clara dropped beside Eli, pulling him close, shielding him as wood cracked. Caleb crashed back through the doorway, dragging a wounded rider with him. He hurled the man's body against the gap where the door sagged, barricading it for a moment. Smoke poured in after him, acrid, choking. His eyes found Clara's. "They'll break us by dawn." Clara coughed, eyes burning. "Then we don't wait for dawn." He reloaded with quick, sure hands. "Stay behind me." Crane's voice thundered again, nearer now. "You can't hide, Mercy. Come out, and I'll make it quick." Caleb stepped to the broken door, shoulders squared, rifle gripped. His voice rang like iron. "You've been hunting me long enough, Crane. Tonight it ends." The gang hooped, firing wild. Flames leapt higher, barn collapsing with a roar. Heat rolled over the cabin walls. Clara dragged water from the barrel, dousing sparks as they caught along the eaves. Through the smoke, shapes moved closer. Gunfire tore the night. Caleb's rifle cracked back. A man screamed, falling. Another torch landed at the cabin's side, fire licking fast at the boards. Clara dropped to her knees, grabbed the rifle again. She fired into the smoke, saw a rider reel from his horse, body twisting into the dirt. Her hand shook, but she loaded again, jaw clenched tight. Eli sobbed into her skirts, clutching her waist. "Mama, don't let them take us." Her heart blazed hotter than the fire. "They won't." The walls trembled as men struck against them, pounding with boots, with rifle stocks. Caleb swung his revolver, 6 quick cracks, each one dropping another shadow at the threshold. Still they came. Still the fire climbed. Smoke thickened, choking every breath. Clara tied a wet rag around Eli's mouth, pushed him low to the ground. She pressed her palm to his head. Stay, no matter what you hear. He clung tighter, whispering, Papa, save us, though his eyes were on Caleb. Caleb reloaded, face grim, movement sharp. He planted himself in the doorway, figure dark against the blaze outside. They'll come again. Clara stood beside him, rifle ready. Her voice was steady now, steel beneath the smoke. Then let him come. The firelight painted them both in gold and blood red. Outside, the gang rallied, their leader bellowing for one last charge. The earth shook with hoofs. The cabin walls groaned. The night was split with gunfire, shouting, and the roar of flames. And inside that battered cabin, 3 souls stood against the storm. The last bullet. The fire roared high, smoke choking the sky. The cabin walls glowed red, timbers cracking under the heat. Clara held Eli tight to her side as the door shuddered with the weight of fists and boots. Then, sudden stillness. The pounding ceased. The riders' voices faded back into the night. Only the flames spoke, hissing and snapping. Caleb's breath came heavy. He stepped into the glow, rifle lowered, eyes sharp on the black beyond the firelight. He's calling me out. From the dark, Crane's voice bellowed, clear as a church bell. Mercy, come face me, or I'll burn the rest with you inside. Clara gripped his sleeve. You step out there, he'll kill you. Caleb's eyes stayed fixed on the night. Maybe, but he won't touch the boy. Eli's small hand clung to his coat. Don't leave us. Caleb bent, one scarred hand brushing the child's hair. His voice dropped low, rough as gravel. I'll come back if I can, but if I don't, listen to your mama. He pulled free, shoulders squared, and strode into the blaze-lit yard. The outlaws spread wide, shadows ringed in fire. Crane waited in the center, broad, scar twisted, grin cruel. His pistol gleamed at his hip. Thought you could run forever? Crane's voice cut the smoke. You betrayed your own. Tonight you die for it. Caleb's reply was iron. You brought death on yourself, Crane. Long ago. The men circled, boots crunching over ash. Flames painted their faces, eyes glinting with bloodlust. Crane's hand twitched toward his holster. Draw mercy. Caleb's fingers rested loose at his side, revolver heavy but steady. His eyes did not leave Crane's. The world hushed. Horses stamped. Fire cracked. 2 guns flashed. The night split with thunder. Crane staggered, mouth open, shock in his eyes. Blood bloomed dark on his chest. He dropped to his knees, pistol slipping from his grasp. His head fell forward into the dirt. Caleb stood still, smoke rising from his barrel, chest heaving. Then his body pitched, a bullet tearing across his side. He gritted his teeth, swayed, but did not fall. The gang froze. Their leader lay dead in the dirt. Without his voice, their courage faltered. One by one, they turned their reins, fading into the dark like shadows retreating from dawn. Silence fell. Clara rushed to Caleb, arms catching him as he sank to one knee. His coat was soaked, blood seeping through. She pressed her hands against the wound, breath trembling. You fool, she whispered, tears streaking her smoke-stained face. You'll die here. Caleb's eyes lifted to hers, pain burning deep but steady. Not yet. Eli stumbled forward, voice breaking. Papa! Caleb's gaze softened on the boy. He reached with a bloodied hand, resting it on Eli's shoulder. His word came rough, choked. Your father was a good man. Better than me. I couldn't save him, but I swore I'd watch over you both. If you'll let me. Eli nodded, tears shining in the firelight. His small arms wrapped around Caleb's neck, clinging tight. Clara's face hardened with grief and fury, yet her hands did not leave his wound. She held him steady, refusing to let him go. The barn was gone. The smoke lifted. The horizon burned faint with dawn. Caleb rose slowly, leaning against Clara's arm, eyes sweeping the quiet yard. It's over. For now. Eli's whisper clung to the air. Papa saved us. The word hung heavy, tender, and unyielding. Caleb said nothing, but his arm tightened around the boy's shoulders. The 3 stood together, framed against the wreckage, smoke curling upward into the pale morning sky. And from that day, when the story was told, the voice of the old ones always ended the same. In the blaze of night, when death came riding hard, the widow, her son, and the stranger stood unbroken. Some say he stayed, some say he rode on. But all agree, the name Caleb Mercy was carried in whispers across the plains, like iron, like fire, like legend.